If you've ever wanted to live out your dream of being a Scotsman who runs from his responsibilities, you could either spend 45 minutes with my dad, or you could pick up Still Wakes the Deep. Inspired by sci-fi horror cornerstone The Thing, Still Wakes the Deep takes place on an oil rig out in the North Sea in the 1970s, where our boy Kaz, certified electrician, is hiding from the police after decking someone back on the mainland. Unfortunately, they found him, and even more unfortunately, he has bigger problems. The game retails for 30 bob, which is UK slang for 30 scroats, which is English slang for 30 queenies, and for a 2-hour game that's a lot to commit. I know people bark on about not caring about price tags, but those people are the bourgeoisie, and that is bourgeois propaganda. Paying 30 quid for something that is finished within 4 hours is a big commitment when you're on a budget, 6 or 7 hours if you play it twice. It's a bit steep considering you'll probably want to play something else when you're done, especially in this economy where a coffee and a sandwich is like £12 at a minimum, and if that's your entertainment budget for the month spunked, then you better hope Kex will let you pick up a copy of Oblivion for the PS3 in exchange for a quiet rub-down behind the bins. A fair price, all things considered, since Oblivion is the best game of all time. What I'm getting at is that this is a brilliant game and you should wait for a sale. So let me tell you why I am so done with Still Wakes the Deep. But first, let me talk to you real quick about today's sponsor, Holy. Holy have been working with this channel since its literal inception, which is a crazy and much appreciated amount of trust in us considering we are sitting at just under 1,500 subscribers. They are here with us again this Halloween, and I am so excited to introduce you to the amazing drinks they make. My current favourite flavour is pineapple, which is honestly just delicious and tastes exactly like pineapple juice. It's part of the Holy Hydration Pack and it's 100% sugar-free, which matters a ton to someone like me who is consciously looking out for sugar-free options in everything she drinks, especially when so many fruit juices have pesky added sugars that make things feel healthy when they're actually not. In line with Halloween, Holy are also introducing a terrifying blood orange flavour. Featuring 0 sugar and 0 taurine, blood orange bat flavour is enriched with Nucaf, a great slow-release alternative caffeine that provides long-lasting, consistent energy boosts without palpitations or anxiety. Try Holy today. I highly recommend grabbing a starter kit since they also qualify for free UK shipping. Use the code ISDWHOLY5, I'm so done with Holy 5, for £5 off any first purchase valued at $14.99 or more, which is ideal for a starter kit, or just I'm so done with Holy, ISDW Holy, for 10% off any purchase. Check out the link in the description or visit uk.weareholy.com/I'm so done with gaming for more.
Good morning, you reprobates. Welcome to the rig. After a quick settings fix-up to make the game actually playable, we investigated our cabin and then we headed out into the corridor.
Merry Christmas! Well, Kate and Mady, can't even fucking spell.
It was super important that we visited every occupied cabin for an achievement later on down the line.
Even as I explained that there's a trophy for seeing every single room, I missed the fucking first one, Campbell, and this locks me out of the trophy for the rest of the playthrough.
So much for experienced trophy hunter. We headed further down and met Finley, a real trooper, and she was fixing up some lights or something in the ceiling. We have a bit of banter and move on.
Pile of shit!
Next up, there were reports of a full moon out over the rig. Well, it wasn't night time, but we had a sight to behold. Make sure you get a squeaky clean, young man. Scotland! There you go. But now we never have to look at a naked ass again.
Don't leave me out. There we go. McCleary. Spent too much time in the shower room.
Upon our curiosity, we were looking around the living quarters. I was invested in looking at how these people lived, and Mert was, being Mert.
Gibson. Dobby. Master has given Dobby a sock. Christmas cracker. Show you a Christmas cracker right here.
Our curiosity was leading us down to the canteen, where we'd meet the rest of the crew who were still here for Christmas. The problem was, at least for Mert, the Scottish accent.
I'm on ping. Either I'm on ping or it doesn't make any sense, but from what I can understand, these men work here.
I, on the other hand, had been welcomed into the fold and was wearing my new personality proudly. Look at this place, it's bouncing. How we doing, boys? Beans. You alright, lads, how we doing? Can I talk to you? Oh my goodness, I didn't even notice. You poor soul. Shut up, you twat. It was time to talk to the big man, Chef Roy. Well, head kitchen dude Roy, who gives us a pep talk about facing our demons. I bet this rig is incestuous. Maze, do you know anything about this game? The actual boss, Rennick, got his raspy voice over the intercom. Unfortunately, Kaz was a wanted man. A hot topic, if you will. so we headed out onto the deck. This game showed some kind of comforting scenes of blokes just getting to work, setting the scene for some real scary shite to take place. The scariest thing of all was an achievement related to not sprinting and only walking for 10 whole minutes throughout your entire playthrough, which I found to be easiest milking at the start. We had plenty to say on our journey across to the lift, meeting all sorts of characters who were all very friendly and supportive of Kaz's report to the office.
Roper? I barely fucking know her.
Chatting with plenty of folks, we can see some real rig work going on. Keep it your rigging, boys, you got this. Even more importantly, after chatting with everyone in the first few scenes, we get a cheeky cheeve. Hey, Chivo. After we get our most important piece of equipment, the screwdriver from Big Scoobs, we found our first little interaction besides opening doors and conversing. An electrical box. Since we're the best with the lecky, this should be easy.
Done. That'll be £6,000, please. Kaz runs like an arsehole. He does. If you have a particularly runny arsehole.
Now onto the hard bit. Talking with the manager. He might be a little disconnected from reality calling himself the king, but at least he's not trying to kill us. We're getting kicked off the rig, and on the first chopper back to the mainland to be sent to one of the finest HMPs Britain has to offer, we were fired by Rennick. It's time to hit the helipad. Either he's just going to start shooting at all of us, or we're going to mine into something.
That's a lot of fire. Just got one of those on my house. Roy gets you this job so you don't get arrested, but the police come anyway and start snooping about, and your boss doesn't like it because he's up to some shit here. Thank you. I really seriously tried to understand.
Oh shit, please don't fall in the sea, please don't fall in the sea. Brilliant. Here we go. Throughout the game we'll be dipped in and out of some of Kaz's flashbacks to his wife, our Suze. This one involves our old chum Roy and our wife Suze bickering about Kaz going for a job on the rig in the first place. Before we could get any more background filler in, we were awoken and saved by our fellow crewmates. Get me up, need to use me screwdriver. I have no clue how they rescued Kaz, but they did, and now we're back on the rig, ready to go. But first, it's time to warm our hands up. Heat is important.
That out there. And I just don't sleep very well when it's hot.
Upon our awakening, Brody starts barking orders to Kaz, instructing him to fix the cable to allow Brody to rescue Raffs, who's been trapped inside the diving bell. Grip. Okay.
Grip. Push.
Once we've done our bit, Brody tells us to get topside ASAP.
Yeah, this is it, right? Yeah.
And of course, it isn't easy, and we have to go under the rig via a maze of debris and collapsing structures above a raging North Sea. Keep me away from that, please.
There's a trophy for falling in the water, actually. Should we just do it?
Oh, for fuck's sake!
We also see what I think is the source of the shitstorm that's about to kick all this off. What is that? Unfortunately for the pair of us, we had to learn the controls quickly and under pressure, something we're both terrible at, and we learned the hard way. Oh!
Oh, I had to...
Oh! Oh shit.
Alright, there we go. First try.
After some mild platforming, we finally made it to engineering access. Engineering access, okay. We made it. Once inside, Rennick comes over the tannoy announcing a slight disturbance aboard the rig. To be fair, I hadn't noticed.
Rennick. A minor drill issue. Yeah.
We had some more platforming to do. Don't trust people that go in the sea. They secretly fish. Oh, well, thank God for that. I was about to fall to my death. I don't know any electrician that would be able to climb like this. Crucially, we found a flashlight. Now the horror begins.
Well, it's very quiet. I hope nothing makes me jump.
Okay, is this where it gets scary then, I guess? Unfortunately, we had some really scary sounds to plague our ears first. Whoa. After another cheeky mini-game with our screwdriver, and we were marching on.
Interact. Thatcher's ghost is here, yes. We found her watery grave.
Oh, it's Finley! Jesus. Thankfully, we found Finley. Bad news is the source of the noise is a crewmate called Gibbo, and apparently he's on our side of the window.
Is that Gibbo?
Why are his feet so big? We were both on edge. The horror and tension was ramping up, but one of us was way more scared than the other.
Well, that sounds... Ah!
A cheeky little 3-part puzzle saw us cut off some gas to allow us to move further into the rig, and here we are. Our first encounter with the monster. It's like is it just crawling around the ceiling? Like a fucking house spider, man.
Okay. No problem.
I had a little trouble figuring out if he was actually there, but yes, upon repeated playthroughs he is certainly around. I don't think he can kill you, but he's definitely up there. Oh, he sounds behind me then. Go, 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 go.
Stay away.
Oh! Whatever it is, it seems to be shagging my screen. Well, we found Douglas, but he's no longer with us, stuck on a ladder forever. Does it have a deeper meaning? Who cares? We're out of here. Is Gibbo, like, being eaten alive? Because that did not look like a person. That looked like a ball sack, if I've ever seen one. I was still pondering if he had followed us over, but I was not willing to stick around. And just like that, I was gone with the wind. Well, we made it to the stairs, so let's just go. I ain't fucking about. That was kind of creepy though. It wasn't scary as much, but it was definitely... Ew.
Our return to accommodation starts with a hard-earned story trophy and a hard-earned squat in front of a fat heater.
Christ, that stuff is rank.
Ugh.
Alien gossip is starting to creep around the ship, and we stop for a quick dish with the girls before heading back upstairs to the rec room. Trots is out here getting transcendent head on the other side of a door glowing with holy light.
That's a real toe curler in there. That's like shirt off.
Let's give him space. Hope nothing happens in this corridor. Progress takes us to Roy in the walk-in, a room incidentally crammed with nothing but industrial-sized cans of baked beans. This rig must absolutely reek.
You fucking bastard.
Roy graciously accepts the offer to stay here on guard, while we rush ahead and clear a path. There is a man in there. Well, if I just ignore it and don't look, we will be fine. That is... Unfortunately, circumstances seem to be deteriorating. The laundrette is derelict and abandoned, but this is an oil rig full of Brexit geezers, so that's no indication of emergency yet. It's not until spaghetti bolognese starts to slither out of the ceiling that Kaz even knows there's something wrong.
Sticky man.
Stepping out to lifeboat access sees a situation more dire than even Kaz could have imagined. Turns out that Rennick really has been cutting corners, and straights, and bridges, and most of the floor. Boyd meets a sloppy end on the far side of a locked video game door, the most impenetrable defense humanity knows. Staunch background voice Rennick assures us and the other surviving members of the crew that we'll be back to work as soon as this mess straightens itself out. Jumping for my life over deadly drops and hanging off the skeletons of broken ladders, I wondered if he was so sure. Thankfully, we arrived at the lifeboats, only there's one problem. Oh no! Oh, these life vests won't fit me, and none of them are in my colour. I readied a reluctant Kaz to ready an even more reluctant lifeboat, which promptly plummeted into the infinite horrors of the icy North Sea.
I mean, actually, yeah, how the fuck would we even get down to it? Yeah, sure, smooth.
Rennick drops a line to ask me if my refrigerator is running, but when I say, I barely know her, he just tells me to kill myself and hangs up. Somewhere deep down, he probably thinks I'm a laugh. Rennick redirects us to the helicopter pad for a far more epic escape option. There's a lot of fire on this route, unfortunately. Thankfully, Still Wakes the Deep isn't about to let us go 3 minutes without a little jab of dopamine, and my will to persevere finds some brief foothold on which to sustain itself. Fahrenheit. Put out a fire. Inns reaches out to request a hand, but neither Kaz nor myself are in much of a position to do anything worthwhile. Besides, I'm far too busy enjoying the rich tapestry of environmental storytelling. I'm enjoying this tapestry of environmental storytelling.
Hello? Where's me eater?
I explained the intricacies of my father's bagpiping hobby to a captivated Twitch chat as we crawled through the web of vents like a worm. This back way took us right through to the laundrette again, looking as untouched as the day I met it. Minus all the meat, I guess.
What is it? We're just slapping the shit out of the washing machine door.
Oh, some socks. My mop. Here we're introduced to the concept of throwing items to distract the monster. Let me know if I'm going too fast with these explanations, and I start pinging all kinds of bric-a-brac around the place until Ribeye Ron over here wanders off to sniff an arbitrary corner of the room. We're playing on standard difficulty, the highest difficulty if you must know, so our meaty friend comes zooming after me the moment I pass an invisible tripwire. Our screen turns to soup and we respawn about 8 seconds ago, so we just sprint again and everything turns out much better on the second go.
Oh my god, that thing's ugly as fuck. I'm out. I'm out.
No! No!
Don't get stuck, please. I don't want to go behind me. Oh, easy.
I'm sweaty. Roy's happy to see us, only he contends with a boss Kaz will never have to face, diabetes. Blood sugar waits for no man. Thankfully, Roy is open to the idea of heading to his own room to find his insulin while we fetch help from the mainland and allows us to go our separate ways.
Kind of dialogue, conversations, banter.
Unfortunately, I tend to wander a bit mentally during cutscenes and ended up chatting bollocks with Twitch chat a moment too long to hear where exactly I needed to go. Thankfully, this game is so on rails that I formulated a reasonable plan. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. No, I'll just walk in whichever direction the game lets me go.
We head back out onto the main deck, trying desperately to make it to the evacuating helicopter, but I was too busy admiring this seagull. Hello, bird. It's a very detailed seagull. As we head down towards the main part of the deck, a whale is providing ambience for us. It sounds like there is a whale on this rig. Well, actually it turns out to be the monster that's trophy hunting the crew members. Dobby, my man. As Muir is patrolling the main deck, we have a new objective. To make it across the deck and meet up with Innes, head up the lift and get to the evacuating helicopter. Time for some sneaky tactics. We had to distract Muir with objects we found along the floor. We would pick it up and throw it. This would provide us with a small window to, in fancy terms, fucking leg it. The only problem with making a break for it is that Kaz's sprint speed, if you can call it that, is the most embarrassing attempt at a sprint I've ever seen in my life. We had a scripted chase after breaking these boxes, but again, Kaz was on the ball. Unfortunately, I was not. Oh my god, I'm stuck. A classic smooth death. Take 2. The same thing happens and we shuffle over to this green freighter. We shuffle along the worst part of the game in my opinion. Oh my god.
I love, depressing shit.
Cheeky screwing. A regroup with Innes sees us undertake a change to the plan since the cargo lift was blocking both of us. Time to get to those lift controls.
What have I done? Let me under here.
Oh, that was easy. Time to whack the button and ring a loud dinner bell from Muir. Fucking punch it, mate.
Fuck, that's loud. Go on, Innes.
Innes books it to the lift, and I forget that Muir probably still has eyes in all that mess. Oh, I didn't think he'd be able to see me. Time for a retry. This time we actually use the spray can and throw it into the mist, and Muir decides to give Kaz the lap dance of a lifetime.
Why are you leaving me?
Truly a wondrous spectacle. No matter. With a semi and a will to live, Kaz makes a break for the lift. Come on, Kaz! Why do you look like a 50-year-old man? Unfortunately, Muir catches on, and then catches Innes.
The oil rig is a great place for
Innes, me boy. Before we could make it to the chopper, Rennick and Archie fly off into the sunset. Oh, they're coming back to save us. That doesn't look like a very in-control helicopter. Oh, wait.
What the fuck?
We're alive because we have another flashback. And another domestic where Kaz tries to escape from the police and underlands how good of an electrician he really is. Good with the leggy. I'm fucking good with the leggy. Well, now what?
No fucking what?
We were awake after a close shave. After leaving the helipad and heading towards Rennick's office, a telephone call awaited us. Hello? Upon our vacation from the manager's office, wait, what? We have another short phone call from Davros. Then head into the administration block where there's a thick fire. Oh, the fire extinguisher room. Fuck off. There we go. Crawling under the piping hot steel and a quick journey down some stairs, we made it into the office. That teabag's still in there. That body's going to get dragged away. And since I used my crystal ball to predict this body's disappearance, we meet the new face of the rig's monstrosity. It's Manager Rennick. Bro, what? go, 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 go. Rennick was virtually licking my eardrums during this entire sequence, but thankfully if Kaz runs slowly, then these monsters are even slower. Whilst the sound was a bit close, I was never in doubt.
I think we've left this guy in the dust.
Crouch. Oh! He's gonna get me! Oh shit. Where do I go? Oh! Fuck. Fuck. I don't... Oh! He's in the fucking ceiling!
Yes. Unlock. Easy.
Another easy achieve. We went under the main deck again, staring face to face with the evacuation chopper. All I had to do was make the jump onto the helicopter's doors, but even then, I managed to break the game. Oh yeah! Do I... Oh. Oh!
All this stuff about it.
Another phone call from Bruce. Don't know how sharks get phones, but I won't judge. And I was quick to identify a serious problem. Bruce, it sounds very wet where you are. Oh, never mind. From the phone, we continue our wandering around the rig until we meet this door in a pitch black corridor.
Hello.
Where's me eater? Oh, fuck off. Through the corridor, we have to turn off some lecky to make this water traversable. Following that, we have a room quickly filling up with gas. Thankfully, I understood the severity of the situation and quickly cut off the gas. Mert, however...
That was a gas valve. Where would I be? Yes, behind. Behind eyes. It's got a... Oh, dead. Like... Is it here? Is it yellow tube? No. It's not C. That's amazing. Is that here? Probably not. I guess it's a wiki. Yeah, I finally found my answer. Where's the stuff? Is it here? No. Go to the wiki. Oh, it's valid, but it's not interactive. Back turn. Oh, I can't play the live version. I'm stuck. So it should be next to it, right? What's up? What's up? Just a bit. I'm gonna get it. Fantastic. Oh, it's here. No. Oh, for God's sake. Alright.
With the gas off, and this unit pushed aside, we head into this dark loading screen. A short wander later and... Finley! We were reunited with an old pal. Finley tells us how to reboot the generators to make sure we can survive the foreseeable future. I was slowly losing the plot. I took my rage out on a ghost in the corner. Fuck off. The only issue that seems to arise in horror games especially is that these relays don't work after you've initially got them on, and Still Wakes is no different. Oh shit. The relay trips, and we have to get down there and manually reset the piece of piss. Kaz and Finley discuss a new plan. We have to head down towards the spooky sounds where of course the generators are.
I'm no fucking good in there.
After some small ladder problems and a dark room filled with things to throw, we meet our next monster. Whatever is left of Adair. Maybe not a good idea to just stand there and look. This seems to have more of an impact on Mert than myself.
Underwear check. Palm check. Look at these bad boys. Sweaty.
They almost make it to the main breaker switch when the game decides to break, and Kaz and the monster-fied Adair have a nice chit-chat under the table. Brother in Christ, let me play the game. Oh! Since Adair was hiding from the monster too, I took my opportunity to make a break for the generator switches. Okay. Since we were both puzzle experts, this was easy. Is there a way I can find this out?
So at that point, we just guess? See, this is what I want from my horror. I want thought-provoking puzzles. Easy. Easiest game of my life.
No. Go to Kibi. Ah! In the key bit. After sniffing out the key we needed, we jumped down to the big switch and used our new key to ignite the engine. Engine restarted. Time to head back to mud handling. Beautiful. Where's he at? Fortunately, Adair was not stuck under the desk anymore, and he was on the hunt. It's not as scary as it sounds since you can just throw something and it distracts him for a long time, but it can be quite nervy. Mert managed to force some trophies here, involving plenty of throwing.
Luckily, nobody here can keep track of a thermos. What old tricks? Does Kaz just throw things around? Oh, my lube. It's my favourite part of the Highland Games. Thermos lobbing.
After a quick cat and mouse, I had made it back to the entrance of the room when a cheeky scripted chase began, but Kaz is way too quick for this. Oh no! Oh no, oh no, oh no. How can you still be a massive cock even when you've been killed by an alien thing? After some quick parkouring back, we had our first port of call, once making it past the deer, and that was to fix the broken fuse in mud handling. I don't think that works like that, but... Cool on him. Oh, hello! Deer had cornered us in this cage, but using my professional smooth skills, I quickly dipped out and played some further cat and mouse to make it back to the protective relay. I had no issues here, but Mert was not so fortunate.
Fuck off. Yes!
Once back to the relay, we flipped the switch. Power on, and an unhappy Adair later, we were on our way out. We had a nice catch up with Brody over the phone, who gives the despairing Kaz some newfound hope and belief. Classic Brody, always there to lift the guys up. All that was left now was to head towards the pontoon, and we had escaped engineering.
Much in common with the stream of piss I'd no doubt be spewing at the next sighting of our mighty meaty, it was time to head down the leg. Leg A, to be specific. After a bit of a rough start, I was back in the zone. To get down leg A, you basically need to run around the edges of the room, climbing ladders, okay, pressing buttons, oh, cunt, making treacherous jumps, did you? And yanking counterweights up and down until we're clattering around on the platform at its base. Smooth's time was comparatively uneventful.
Okay, there we go. I mean, I need to do my job down here as well. There we go.
Taking a moment to almost accidentally spoil my brother's first time Skyrim playthrough. Just do the quest from the other side of things when Astrid... Never mind. I distracted chat by jingling some keys and leaping into the treacherous pitch black water. If you don't like deep dark water, you'll hate this game, but that's probably why you're watching me play it instead. Smooth and I have no such fear.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, fuck off. Please be stairs. Ah, can't park there, mate.
Together with Kaz, we whack open yet another valve, raising the gate so that we can slither through it into a time segment that will see us drown if we fail. Thankfully, I swim like an otter. There's a tooltip that tells you to hold X to spring forward, but I couldn't get it to work. You don't need this strategy if you're quick, but apparently if you're close enough to the frames, Kaz will automatically grab them and surge forwards as he swims. To my credit, Smooth had no idea either. No matter, we're through on our second attempt. The door here is locked. Reading briefly the warning to raise the debris screen before jumping into the pipe, I jump into the pipe without raising the debris screen. Oh dear. No! Well, if I didn't have the trophy then, I definitely have it now. Resurrected, we head into the lever room to the advent of some joyous news.
Lever must be fully engaged. Well, congratulations to the lever.
Lever must be fully engaged. Good for her. With our congratulations dispelled, the pipe is now leapable. I can't even begin to fathom how icy cold that is going to feel. Fearless and a bit giddy from the embarrassment of making a fool of myself on stream, I sprinted into the final segment of this area, which began to rapidly fill with water. Oh no. I drown again. I'm not even keeping score anymore.
Kaz, man. Don't you dare give up on me. There we go.
15th time's the charm. One short swim later and we were clear of all the drowning sections. Clearing into the next area, we run straight into the arms of O'Connor. O'Connor, you sly dog. What's happened to you? Unfortunately, he's in the meat seat, a fate worse than death and one we aim to avoid with zest. We try not to dwell on eldritch misery and agony here in the House of Hopelessness. Don't worry, Connor. We'll come back later with a shotgun or some kind of toaster bathtub dead rising weapon combo and sort you out ourselves, free you from this madness. The next room saw more pin pulling than a hand grenade conference I attended last year, and soon we were hoisted up through the leg. In full tourist mode, Smooth took the time to get a screenshot for the family album.
Easy money.
Ah yes, back to accommodation. The familiar smell of Roy's beanie farts fill the air as we stagger back into that comforting shared space, but there will be little left to comfort us. That shower arse is firmly behind us, if you'll pardon the pun. I'm too busy telling Twitch chat off for never googling things for me to notice that Kaz is heartily verbalising his needs, wants and wishes, and I force this desperate mullet man to shiver for a few moments too long before finally paying him any due attention. He squats in front of the heater, nearly in tears. Roy's got the BTs, and although he said he'd go and get his own insulin, I get the subtle impression that he's too scared to leave the safety of the walk-in fridge. He's still not done it, writing off his jitters as clumsiness. Although Kaz offers to grab it for him, he politely declines. Suit yourself, mate. I'll catch you later.
Oh, fuck his insulin.
The phone rings behind me as I leave, but I'm too busy mocking my friends in chat to hear it, a grave reality that will bite me on the arse later on the Hear All Phone Calls trophy. Our next objective sits on the opposite side of the rig, requiring Kaz to walk a little too close to comfort to that big alien thingy, making Kaz go all woozy. Brody is parked up here.
Brody, I thought you were in my imagination.
He foreshadows our next task with the darkly humorous, "Let's cross that bridge when we get to it," only to look back over his shoulder at the bridge we would presently be forced to cross when we get to it. Unfortunately, a gas leak is about to combine miserably with a malfunctioning flare, and since only Brody knows how to use the controls, we are the fat fool he sends off to yank the thingamajig and push the buttons on the contraption and pull the what's-it so that we can tick another sad objective off our list. As the situation on the rig deteriorates faster and faster, we scamper off to our next port of call, the processing quad. Adair's back, and he's bolder than ever. The sound of the creaking elevator draws him, and we watch in terror as he slams against the metal grate door over and over again. Thankfully, he's blind, so he gives up at the exact moment the door falls open and slinks off to skulk in the corner instead. There's a bit here where I try to look around, but Kaz wraps himself around a little metal ledge every time, and I have to pry him off it like a needy toddler. Oh, okay. No! Dickhead. Sneaking around him here is way easier than in the previous segment, since he can't reach you in 80% of this area. I mean, I die anyway, but it is easier. We turn the valve, but the gas is still blowing back at the rig, naturally meaning we needed to sprint the length of this swiftly crumbling bit of apparatus. My curiosity ends in my death. That was stupid. But the second try is successful, and Kaz flings the relighter at the flare and a very angry Adair, who is unfortunately not actually that bothered.
Yo, do me a favour, man, and just run.
Yeah, I hear you, Brody.
Fucking no. Oh. There's no way he's alive.
One incident lands Kaz in the world of dreams, replaying one of the old classics, a big argument with his wife. I love that one. That is one of my parents' favourites. Luckily, he isn't dragged into the churning sea below him, but lands safely on a treacherous bit of pathway. Thankfully, just enough of the rig remains for Kaz to drag himself up through to engineering.
Welcome back to engineering, where the ground is shaking. As we begin wading through this oil-riddled water that looks like it should spawn a Resident Evil 7 monster, the power goes. As we open the door to be greeted by a starstruck Brody and Finley, they thought Kaz had died on his excursion to kill a deer. Roy comes over the intercom, asking for assistance, but Brody sensibly suggests they need to stick with their plan. Kaz disagrees, and the hunt for Big Roy is on. With Brody off to the tension cables and Finley off to marine control, Kaz had to wade through some more poo water. This is the same area as before, except it's flooded. How crazy. I really struggled to get to grips with the underwater segment here, but it's okay, because once you drown, you don't do it again. And I forced myself into a learning position. And to force the achievement to pop, of course, that was the main reason. Okay, that was on purpose. No matter what, we had some more underwater parkour to conduct, and Kaz proved that he was up to the task. Lots and lots of climbing ahead, so bear with me. More swimming in oily water. I was truly enjoying my oil rig lazy river experience. Other than a forced fail on a QTE, nothing bad happened, and eventually we made it to accommodation. Nobody move, it's heater time. Key aspect of the game that I always forget about. Oh, sorry, I forgot I had to force this thing in. Working through accommodation, we revisit some familiar sites that have been utterly shagged by whatever life form has taken over it. See, that's the horror of this game. That fucking sea. We were nearing some treacherous territory. Judging by the sound effects that keep playing, an infected individual was nearby. A nice vent stroll lets us see said infected. It's our old pal Trots. We then come across a corpse in a bathroom. All we had to do was jump up to the vent, and then... Oh. Could you not move any faster? A nice easy cheeve. Greased Scotsman. Then another quick cheeve. Oh boys, we are rocking this. Just like that, I make achievement hunting look easy. We grab Roy's insulin from the desk, then Trots gets crushed by the gravity of the situation. But we had no time to mourn. He was a twat anyway.
I've got to go.
We head back outside onto the main deck, or what's left of it. Another story achievement battered into unlocking. We wander around the deck, and we find one of God's greatest scams. I've just looked through one of them fucking telescopes at the beach. One of those beach telescope things where you have to put some change in to get the same view. We find Roy, but he's napping. A touching moment comes to pass when I realise he isn't actually napping. As you can imagine, my empathy was real. You know, beg mine. Oh, phone call. Sorry, Roy. What's up, Finley? An absolutely gut-wrenching, heartfelt phone call later, and we were heading off to marine control. I couldn't pick up the kids because there was an alien. Kaz has been practicing his mastery of parkour. It was time to put it to the test against this giant crane. Kaz remembered that he left the oven on in my game. And then Merc couldn't focus because she needed food.
Hungry.
A true pair of gaming masterminds. Only the highest quality gameplay here. The forbidden fruit winder. Oh. I didn't die. This is a different timeline. We had made it to Marine Control, and Kaz was trying to slack off again.
Christ, it's way above my pay grade, this.
What, reading? In a more sad tone, we meet someone who's been infected by the parasite or whatever it is, but he hadn't transformed into a monster. He was just permanently stuck in his chair. We had to carefully navigate between a phone call with Finley and trying not to discomfort Roper so that he would kill us, as we inch forward and grab the key off him and head back into Marine Control to flip the switch. You can do that, you're a grown man. Since we... Kaz! The part of the tree all modern bananas are actually clones. We had to get back to the phone. Let me get back to my telephone call. Yeah, what? We head back to push some buttons and then return to Finley again, unlocking another achievement, and then causing Roper to try and latch us.
Bye, Roper. Oh no.
As we rid our arm of Roper, I barely know her, we head back out of Marine Control and Suze is on the tannoy. Where's my wife on the tannoy? Go. Rennet was back, and hot on our arse, but Kaz was a master of underwater parkour now, so Rennie boy stood no chance.
Oh my god, it's Rennick!
And he comes back for another chase, this time down a hallway where he gets himself stuck. I'm fucking gone, pal. Ah! Get off me, you fucking played out. See you later, pussy. Thanks for the cheeve. We regroup with Finley, only to find out that Brody's stuck in the pontoons and he won't escape. Can he? Oh, not the Broadster. My man. Finley takes it upon herself to finally end this nightmare. Kaz can't allow that, so we end up chasing Finn around the rig before she gets caught by falling debris, leaving Kaz the sole survivor of this tragedy.
Wonder why it shows you somebody you love.
Finn tells Kaz he knows what he has to do and with very good reasoning convinces Kaz to put an end to it himself. Mert, now is not the time for a fart. With some gut-wrenching tunes and everything coming together, we solemnly march Kaz into the abyss to put an end to whatever this creature is. Oh, there's some sick beat going on through it.
Watch your footing, Kaz. You might hurt yourself. As
we wandered to the end of Kaz's time, there was a sick heartbeat going on, some real juicy beats in here. We hit the lighter and just let go. Alright, fuck off. Wipe your mush, the game's done. Time for me to force my opinion down your throat. I liked this game. Was it a horror game? No, not really. Was it scary? Also not really. As a man terrified of the sea, I found the setting of the game to be the worst part. There was a horrible sense of we're absolutely fucked from the get-go. That feeling of isolation, and we're stranded, was looming over Kaz and the crew the whole time, finally culminating as a giant haunted fruit winder staring Kaz in the face right at the end when we'd been so desperate to hang on and escape. I thought the monster design was cool. I'm a big fan of the Thing and sci-fi horror, so it was right up my alley. But after the first time you meet the monster, the horror really left, which I think was a nice turn to speed the game up a little bit. But with the horror quickly gone, the only scary parts were trying not to fail the parkour so you didn't have to restart from the last checkpoint. Now it goes without saying, the best part of this entire game was the voice acting and the soundtrack. Pretty much anything audio related on this game was truly incredible. The emotional scenes with phone calls, flashbacks and character deaths were so impactful and done so well. Kaz's voice actor, Alec Newman, was especially incredible, so big thanks to him for making Kaz such a great main character. Well, I tried my best with a review. I like this game. It's pretty cool. It's certainly not a super replayable game though. With only 2 playthroughs I felt like it was kinda dragging. I felt like I'd beaten the game to death by the end of the second playthrough. But that first playthrough was certainly a lot of fun and very memorable. I would recommend to anyone wanting to try out this game. If you're a trophy hunter, it might be a bit slow, but if you're just looking to play a game, definitely try this one out. And just to make sure, turn on the subtitles, otherwise you won't understand a thing.
Still Wakes the Deep is probably 10% horror. What remains is split evenly between sci-fi and action. I expected something similar to The Thing, and visually that's exactly what I got. Still Wakes the Deep is a surprisingly gutting, hopeless story steeped in a backdrop of unconditional love and bravery in the face of dead odds, saving the world with the knowledge that no one will ever know and fewer people will care. The monster designs are haunting, and as usual, the Chinese room resists the urge to give you all the information. There is so little available to read about the monsters of this game, the elements of cosmic horror the narrative is is based on or perfectly executed. And as usual, the Chinese room excels in user experience, communication, and UI. Still Wakes the Deep is a little too on rails to be genuinely challenging, even on the non-story difficulty, but it's perfect in so many other ways that I didn't mind. Kaz's experience takes place over the course of about 4 hours. In that time, he comes to terms with the horrors unfolding before him, he puts his life on the line to overcome said horrors and find an escape for himself and the dwindling crew, watches them all die miserably, and then realizes he has no hope. Not only was he infected from the beginning, as indicated by the artifacting on your vision, but the monster turned a whole rig of people into Play-Doh in an afternoon. It cannot be allowed to reach the mainland. It is easily the most impactful horror story I've played since Soma. Even with a runtime south of 5 hours, Still Wakes the Deep features an incredible, memorable cast of people you grieve after only a few moments with them, a protagonist you empathise with and desperately wish to help, and an ending that will have you heading silently to the dinner table for a roast chicken soaked in your own tears. That being said, Still Wakes the Deep suffers from the classic Chinese room problem of focusing a little too much on the walking and a little too little on the simulation. Despite the initial emphasis on maps, which we are introduced to the moment Kaz leaves his room, the game is so on rails I'm surprised there's not a height requirement. Events are scripted to a T, rendering all horror moments completely predictable and preventing any kind of surprise on a replay. And you will want to replay this, considering it is an expensive game. Wow, price doesn't matter as long as the experience is good. Price does matter a bit, let's be real. If I can buy The Witcher 3 on sale for £7 and get 200 fat, easy hours of content, I am going to be raising an eyebrow at spending 32 quid on a 4-hour run through Still Wakes the Deep with zero replay value beyond trophy cleanup. If you're looking for recommendations, I do recommend this, but I wouldn't pay more than £10 for it, so maybe wait for this sucker to go on sale. And so began our second playthroughs, only Smooth forgot to save his, so we'll be using my footage instead, and I'll just be telling you where he did especially well. So we hit the floor running. There's a trophy for finishing the game with Gallic subtitles, so that was our first port of call. It rendered the game incomprehensible, but that's to be expected when you are changing the language to one you literally do not know. With the misery behind us and another cycle of hopeless death lying ahead, I spawned in. First objective, find the cabin I missed for the trophy snoop, which asks you to visit every enterable cabin in the game. So I made... that was it, that's what I was missing. Well, that was easy. Next on the list was to die from falling in the sea 5 times in 5 different places, and to throw a single throwable item in the sea. I died to the swirling, ravenous ocean more times than I cared to admit in my initial playthrough, but clearly hadn't cracked that ideal number 5. Our hunt for death began. We popped by Finley as I explained what was left to achieve. We headed downstairs to the canteen, caught up with Roy, headed outside. Whoa, you can't call him that. Tried to throw ourselves into the screaming abyss below, caught up with the colleagues, head up through the crew lift, and got my shit pushed in by a boss I feel probably secretly really loves me underneath it all. In a father-son way. Otherwise, why would this relationship be so much like the one I have with my dad? Skipped a bunch of cutscenes, flung ourselves into the depths. No trophy yet, no matter. My zest for suicide burns bright. Brody dragged me back out of the ocean to help him get Rafferty out the diving bell. Got a bit too much on the plate right now, Brody, but sure. With that, we skip back under the rig for a wee dip and a quick death by grievous self-immolation. Like everyone's weird uncle, we tried to shuffle up leg A, grabbed the flashlight, caught up with Finley, climbed up through engineering, and encountered our first waking nightmare, Gibbo. Gibbo leaves us alone, thankfully, only popping up to say hello when we take a little tumble through a big metal hatch, and we're free to dart out into the light of day. Returning to accommodation, we stopped for a quick chat with O'Connor, caught up with big man Blood Sugar Roy, died to an electrical fault, top bins, and died to the alien foreskin wall. Our foray into the laundrette brought with it an approach to 2 more trophies. Firstly, this is the part of the game where throwable items start to spawn, and we need to ping 50 of them. So I start grabbing every single cup I can find and slapping it across the room. Secondly, we need to listen to the whole shipping forecast. The first radio in the game is here, so this is where we get our trophy, by squatting down next to it and waiting for a few minutes. Forecast, which we're doing right now. Picking up and throwing throwables. I love Bristol. Amazing. Sailing by complete. With a filthy little trophy to sate our hunger between meals, we leave the laundrette and head out to the lifeboats. Intentionally fail a quicktime event, scramble down the wall of the rig, lose the lifeboat to Davy Rennick's budget cuts, call the big man himself, enjoy another phone call, died again, and then wormed our way back inside for a return to the laundry room. Trots meets us here, our first proper roaming enemy who we're far too acquainted with by now to worry too much about, and we're out the door before that silly bastard can even turn around. Here we return to Roy, ascertaining his diabetal issues. We make a little deal. He grabs his insulin, we grab help. Only, we all know how this goes now. We head outside, dying to an electrical fault, turning off the current, and pinging a flask into the ocean. Hey. Maria's segment is here, and I outlined our plan. I need the trophy. There we go. Oh no. With that done, we sprinted through to the end of the area. Moya camped the objective a little bit, but his fear factor had diminished. I merely walked beneath him and raised the lift to open up the escape route. Despite my attempts to die to every possible death and sprint in every possible movement type, I was running out of ideas. Surely there was just one missing for each. I just had to find it. Taking a quick stop to die by electricity, we rushed up to the helicopter. On the way, I deviated from the main path and earned our next trophy. There we go, full fathom 5. Rennick takes 5 and alive a bit too seriously and blows up an entire helicopter. Luckily, Kaz doesn't give half a shit and we barrel onto our next objective. Next stop, administration. Quick natter on the phone, highly technical fireman duties, death by electricity, and thus begins the Rennick chase. There's one electric hazard here that is completely missable and will require a full replay, and I miss it. Yes, absolutely fucked that one. Missing that quote-unquote collectible means we needed to do another at least partial playthrough. Fuck it, we'll be getting our money's worth. With Rennick dodged, we stagger back into the brisk fresh air of the North Sea, back up the helicopter, back down the side of the rig, answer a quick call, and back into the rig for a swift death by electrocution. Although we missed the opportunity during the Rennick chase, these carry over between playthroughs, so we'll still get them. Although I died by gas on the blind run, we did it again here just to be sure. As we moved into the belly of the beast, I confided in chat that I had just made a major life decision. Since I finally uninstalled Overwatch. Thankfully, explaining my thought process goes hand in hand with lobbing throwables around a room, so we got some trophy progress while I spilled my guts. So yeah, stop doing that. Ah, there we go. Look at this mess. I unknowingly walked past the death I was missing for the Finley Destination Trophy, dying by steam, which I had mistaken for dying by gas, and another death opportunity slipped away. Adair shows up, but we're doing our trophy cleanup on story mode, so he just went and sat in the corner with a colouring book and some crayons while we walked freely to the next objective. Interface, key, generator, out. I once again got lost looking for the fuse box, a common issue I have across all playthroughs miserably, and we skipped out of town while Adair slammed his botched BBL against the metal door. With big man Brexit in the rear view for now, we caught up with Finley on the phone for a good bitch sesh, but bailed when she reminded us the apocalypse needs to be prevented. In the next section of the game, we took a peek at a mangled body, died, fixed yet another malfunctioning fuse box, took a trip down a counterweight, and opened up the floodgates to reveal another dead body to gawk at. Quick swim, quick death by drowning, just to be sure, and then we saw through the fallopian tubes of the rig into what I nicknamed the drowny bit, and then the Messiah arrived. Twitch user Adam S. Games blessed my chat with his presence to say, I fucked the body count trophy because they added one final body to the last segment of the game, but no one updated the guides and I had to do an entire replay from the beginning. And not to spoil this video too hard, but we almost fell face first into the same problem. Sorry you had to suffer, Adam, but you saved us from ourselves. We gave O'Connor a small win just to brighten his day a little, and headed into the next room to fix the winch for the lift. Looks like someone left the foreskin generator running. That's against code. Soon enough, we're up, out, and back to accommodation. Quick stop for a sit by the fire and 2 phone calls, and then we're off to meet Brody. Options swiftly limiting and strange subterranean parasites continuing to grow out of control. Kaz brute forces through pure denial, and we're just along for the ride at this point. Adair is waiting for us here, phoning in his performance as usual. Quick valve, death by Adair, and belt across the sky bridge. After a scripted fall, we went for an actual one, parkoured down to whatever became of rafts, and popped our heads into engineering to notify Finley and Brody that, yes, we are still alive, but we will be using the rest of our annual leave with immediate notice. Still puzzled by the specific nature of whichever required death remained, we swarmed through flooded engineering. Here, we ran face first into the final electrocution death of the game. All we'd need to do is replay that Rennick one and the trophy is ours. I got stuck on the textures and ended up very confused. Thankfully, this area is super short and we were swiftly enough back in accommodation, warming ourselves by the fire. We inspect as many bodies as possible in between all the scripted trots appearances and climbing sections, but no trophy. Thankfully, Roy's spoon is there to greet us on our way out. Oh, there's a spoon. Me and my spoon. My spoon. Trots can hardly be considered a boss, but dies here regardless. Sorry man, I respected your views on industrial action. I realised at this point that we missed a phone call. My notes weren't in the correct order, silly me, but hey, that's the fun of trying to pick up finicky collectibles on stream. With Roy dead and nothing left to live for, Kaz heads to Marine Control to try and salvage what's left of the situation he can. I paused briefly to get a gravity-related death, a QTE-related gravity death, crossed the bridge, and landed in Marine Control. We had nothing left to get here specifically, so we just focused on getting through it quickly. Roper hates to see us go, but loves to watch us leave, so we humour him and permit a quick and painful death before we skip out. It's here that Adam and his genius strike again, asking me whether or not I've died by steam, and that's the one I'm missing, and I'm too busy skipping through the environment to see his message, and we soldier on. Bye Rennick, hi Finley, bye Brody, bye Finley, and hello you. We snag our final body for the body count achievement. It's nice to get one win today. Yes! Thank you, Adam. You saved me, because that wasn't on my guide either. Being the last man alive has to be the most depressing feeling. Ah well. Unfortunately, I'd somewhat fucked myself by doing the second playthrough on stream. It's not very fun to load up Twitch to watch someone navigate a game with their head in a guide, so I missed a ton of stuff I was literally looking for on my second playthrough. Reluctantly, it was time to start playthrough 3. We had 4 achievements to get here. Grease Scotsman for sprinting in all movement modes and traversals. Not so good with the Lecky for dying in all electrical hazards on the Bearer D. Finley Destination for dying in all possible ways. And Clear Down for listening to every optional phone call. For Grease Scotsman, I checked online and found a far more successful strategy. Although the typical sprint button is whatever in this game, the far more effective approach is to hold L2 to sprint. Just hold it constantly. So that, combined with a little guide I was going to actually read this time properly, was the key to our third and final playthrough. Turns out I had yet to vault something while sprinting, so we amended that. We crashed down into the Rennick chase and died by our final electrical hazard. We died by steam, completing the Finley Destination trophy, and listened to the last optional phone call, earning the Platinum trophy. Overall, Still Wakes the Deep was a fantastic should play if you have the budget kind of experience, with a trophy list I found to be lackluster. I think achievements should be achievements, so I resent overly easy trophy lists that basically reward you for finishing the game that you paid for and downloaded. Dying in different ways and sprinting in different movement speeds basically boils down to being abstract collectibles, which I saw the intention behind but didn't love, since they encourage playstyles that had an awkward friction with the actual gameplay and story. Making you die in a ton of different ways can be frustrating in a game so heavily reliant on frequent checkpoints you can't return to and no chapter select. I like trophies like finding Roy's spoon since it rewarded diligent exploration. I'd have liked trophies that rewarded playing segments without dying or being seen by the monster, getting through segments without using any distractions, or a trophy for speedrunning the game in a certain time limit, considering it's short enough that retries aren't going to be piss takes.